Welcome to the Podunk Polymath, a podcast dedicated to the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, southern SJW and skeptic. I'm Nathan Dickey from the Trolling with Logic podcast. Come on in.
This is episode 49 of the Podunk Polymath podcast. Thanks once again for joining me. Sorry this is a day late, but as you will find out, it was because of Secular Saturday, and I needed time to recover. Initially, I wasn't going to release anything at all, but I felt guilty, so you're welcome. Anyway, of course, Secular Saturday was in Chattanooga, and of course I had posted about it plenty beforehand, and me and Tucker went Friday evening to stay with Brian and Lexi from Scenic City Skeptic. Of course, we went up there, and they were kind enough. First of all, I want to thank them for letting us stay up there for Friday and Saturday. I thought that was awesome of them, letting relative strangers in their home, along with Jenica and Patrick. Crail, of course, they're super awesome. So we had a big old party and such. But anyway, we headed up there, met them for dinner, and it was a surprise engagement party because he proposed to her, and it was super sweet, and it was, yeah, whatever. You know. But let's see, who was there? Misty and Jim Dobler, Zach Law, me, Tucker, Brian's sister, I believe, Tad Beatty, who was one of the organizers for Secular Saturday, and Jen and AJ, of course. I think I may be forgetting somebody, but because my memory sucks. So yeah, it was cool. It was a nice place. I felt all out of place because it was like a renovated mansion, and I felt all weird because, well, I was dressed like shit, which is always, but even more so, everybody was all dressing as shit, and I looked like I was going to a damn bowling alley. But anyway, so the engagement was sweet. Everybody had a good time. Yada. So hung in a bit after that at the old restaurant, then headed back to their crib for a bit, and everybody had a couple of drinks, but mostly had to try to hit the hay fairly early. Well, relatively, I say. It was I only got like 4 hours of sleep, I think. But anyway, so Secular Saturday, yeah. So we got there around 8-ish, I think. That's when it started. And Melissa Thomas started things off with a intro speech or whatever, and then, of course, we had the classes or whatever, or the breakaway groups, or whatever you want to call them. I was actually not... There was 2 podcast panels. The first one was supposed to have been Bobby C. Ashley, the Scenic City Skeptic folk, Brian and Lexi. And I think that was it, yeah. But somehow I didn't know that, so I snuck on the first one, not realizing I wasn't supposed to be there. So, oh well. So, yeah, I felt kind of dumb after that. And then there were some other classes. Patrick Horst, of course, from Sunday Assembly. He's been on the show, and he's an organizer and a musician and all around stud muffin. He did a speech about, getting the message out there about, secular humanism, atheism, our morals, what we believe in, and all that kind of stuff. Jenica and Patrick Crail did one about coming out as an atheist as a couple after being religious. There were some other ones. There was one on authoritarianism. I didn't get to see that one. There was a couple other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. The one I went to, the military, being atheist in the military, which was AJ was in that one. I split my time on the first one going to see Jenica and Patrick, and then I went to see AJ and his friends from the military, and Jen was in there. So I got to see both of them. They're an hour long, so I went half an hour to one, half an hour to the other. So that was interesting, hearing about military and the struggles they have with, being an atheist and all that stuff. Let's see, we went to lunch. We didn't go to lunch. We had lunch. First of all, I want to say that I had to get coffee 3 or 4 times because my ass couldn't stay awake. So my old ass can't keep up no more. But anyway, so lunch we had Moe's catered, which was actually pretty good. I went back 2 times, which is why I'm a fat ass, but I'm sure y'all already knew that. So that was interesting and delicious. Let's see. Of course, there was another round. I was on the second podcast panel with the one I was supposed to have been on, and I actually Facebook Live most of that one. And I'm going to put it up on YouTube. It's already on the Facebook page, or the Podunk Polymath page. So definitely go check that out. Let's see. It was me, Jen, from Another Atheist Podcast, Zach Law from Sacrilege Podcast, Tucker from Atheist in the Trailer Park. Yeah, that was all of them. And we had fun. I thought there was a troll towards the end. Well, he asked this crazy question about, since Jesus wanted Trump to be elected, how we feel about that. And Tucker went on some long rant. It was like 15 minutes. And the guy said, "Oh, I was just joking." So I thought that was kind of a dick move, but whatever. So go check that out on the Facebook page, or eventually on YouTube. So that was interesting. Let's see. Oh, at some time, I think it was at lunch, a car apparently swerved into the front of the church where we were at and crashed into the yard, which was kind of fucked up. So it was almost like it was a sign that we shouldn't be doing it, but since we don't believe in that sort of thing, I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm thankfully nobody got hurt, though, seriously. And to go off track a little bit, I guess I should mention that the church was pretty cool, and it was... it was a church, it was a Methodist church, and they were cool for letting us do it there, I thought. So, kudos to them. So, yeah, let's see. The last class I went to was this I think she was the head of the DNC for Hamilton County, which is where Chattanooga was. I got in there and was talking shit. Of course I had to, because she's trying to act like, "Oh yeah, the progressives are going to take it back." I'm like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. So, I had a little back and forth with that, but, it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't want to be more of an asshole than I actually had to be, because I already do that plenty. So then of course, there was closing speech or whatever by Mandisa, and I got to talk to her a little bit. And that was awesome. While she was at her table or whatever selling stuff. And that was cool. Overall, the turnout wasn't as good as it could have been, but I thought it was a great first step. There was a lot of camaraderie. There was a lot of enthusiasm, I thought. And I got to meet some more new people, which I'm not even going to start naming these names because it's all over Facebook already. But, of course, the main ones... Brian and Lexi, who let us stay at their house, who were fucking awesome for letting us do that. And of course, there was Zach, Jen, AJ, Patrick, Horst, of course, Jenica and Patrick. Did I say that already? I don't know. They're super awesome, so they get twice anyway. Tucker was there. I got to meet some new people. Tad Beatty, I got to meet. There's a couple other people I can't remember. One was Sonica. I didn't get to see her class. Something about secular Buddhism, I think it was. I can't remember exactly. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. I got to meet Stephen Barry. I forgot. He's a dude that lives in Chattanooga, and he was on Everyone's Agnostic. And we've been chatting back and forth, and I finally got to meet him, so that was cool. I'm probably missing. Estes Perkle, I got to meet him. Again, and forgot who the hell he was. I was like, oh, yeah, you. So he's Kimberly Queen's husband, that feisty little firecracker. She didn't go because she said she was working, but it seems that she was actually going to the salon instead, and I guess I'm not good enough to see. So whatever, Kim, whatever you want to, I'll cry myself to sleep. That's okay. So after that, we went to dinner. But it was kind of fucked up because first there was two competing camps first time. So me and Tucker ended up going to one place, and then there was no other park. So okay, we're going to the other place. So we ended up at the Southside Social, and it was actually pretty cool. It was like a bar, but it had like a bowling alley, which it was weird. I have never seen anything like that. Outside they had like horseshoes and fucking lawn bowling and fucking naked mud wrestling. I don't know. They had all kinds of shit there. But got to hang out. We got there. Let's see, Steven was still there. Patrick was still there. A couple other people I saw there were leaving. I had seen at the convention. One was Chattanooga Humanist, I don't know. There's two, I'm going to say Chattanooga Humanist Association. The representative for that was there, Stephen, Sonica, her boyfriend. I'm probably missing a couple of people. Tad was there, I think. They all left just about the time we got there. It ended up being me, Patrick, his girlfriend, AJ, Jen, Stephen for a bit, but he left, and Tucker. And so we drank for a while. Then they went bowling. I sat over there just drinking more. So that was interesting. Just drinking and watching people bowl. So then we ended up leaving and going back to Brian and Lexi's, and everybody else was already over there drinking. So that's when the karaoke happened, and it was kind of I did the Facebook karaoke thing, did a duet with Jenica, which was kind of embarrassing. That is also up on my page. I'm not putting that shit up in public. I'm just not going to. I mean, unless patrons want it, then you might be able to get it. But I'm not putting that shit up on the Podunk Polymath podcast page. That's just not, that's just not very professional. So, did a duet with them, and then with her, and then just got drunk and was karaokeing, and Tucker got drunk and ranted. I don't even remember what the fuck it was about. So it was really fun. Of course, the Krills had their kids with them, but I mean, they're just the chillest fucking kids ever, dude. It's just kind of creepy, really. Anyway, so it was great, man. It was great to hang out with them again, with everybody, and just the whole camaraderie thing. I just really enjoyed it. So, yeah, and I wanted to, thank people for organizing it, which was Tad, Lexi, and Brian were the ones I knew about. There's probably a couple others I didn't know about. So thank whoever else was involved. It really was cool, and I'm hoping next year will be even better. So thanks for everybody who came out to check it out, and tell y'all that didn't. You can come next year. We'll let you come next year, and you can redeem yourself. So anyway, all the pictures that I took are on Facebook and Podunk Polymath podcast page, and of course the videos I took of the panel and the karaoke is on my personal page. You ain't getting that unless you beg, maybe. Maybe if you give me money or something, I'll let you see it. So anyway, me and Tucker drove back. I almost fell asleep, but finally made it home and crashed out for about 12 hours. So that was fun. Anyway, so yeah, overall great time. Glad I got to go. And I'm glad I got to see some new people and some old people I already knew, older friends I already knew. Always a good time. Enough of that rambling, I guess. On the palaver this week, let me try to get that out without sounding like Captain Kirk. I have Nathan Dickey on. We talked about his podcast and various other sundry topics. Of course, he is the guy from Trolling with Logic. He's a patron. My highest patron, I think. He's my highest contributing patron, which he's super awesome. We talk about his show and various other subjects that we find interesting. It was really just two dudes sitting out, because we talk anyway, so it's pretty laid back. I think y'all enjoy it, so. Sorry this is a day late, but I hope you'll forgive me. Anyway, on to the palaver.
Have you heard the Habeas Humor podcast? It's a new legal show with lots of thoughtful analysis.
That must have been like a desert fart of dry excitement.
Famous politicians, or at least people who went to school with them.
And then she says, have you met Barack Obama? And I'm asking, who the heck is Shakalama?
And legal tips. You can still be rapey if your dick doesn't work, the more you know. Disney can't sue me if I don't sing it. HABEASHUMOR.
Do you know where Saskatchewan is? Probably not. It's in Canada. If you do, you might know a city named Regina. In Regina, there's a studio. And in that studio, there are, at least once a month, a bunch of skeptical atheist geeks and goofballs who get together to do a podcast. We are the Brainstorm Crew, and we're trying to help spread a bit of reason and critical thinking while still having fun. Never taking things too seriously, but still not accepting everything we're told. We go through different topics, exploring them in depth, and often disagreeing. We try to stick to provable facts, and we never trust in myth. That's why we say we're woo-free since 2013. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker under Brainstorm, or check out our website, brainstormblog.net. I can't promise you'll always agree with us, but I can promise you'll have fun listening to us.
Welcome to another edition of Palaver here on the Podunk Polymath Podcast. This week I have with me co-host of Trolling with Logic. He's also a patron of the show and a general badass. I introduce to you Nathan Dickey. How's it going, Nathan?
It's going all right.
Yeah, so like I said, you are one of the co-hosts of Trolling with Logic. And why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about what your show's about?
Okay, well, I'm actually a relative newcomer to the show. I came on board with that show about a little more than a year ago, and was brought onto the team by Cal, who founded and created the show in the first place over 5 years ago. And so I owe my whole podcasting presence to him. And our show, it started out not as a podcast. It started out as a YouTube channel long before I was ever a part of it, with a team of friends who just went on YouTube and started interacting with creationists specifically, and found that they had a lot of meaningful conversations, or some of them were meaningful, some of them were entertaining, but all of them were informative about the science. And so from there, it grew into a podcast where they focused mainly on science issues and debunking various pseudoscience things. But in the years since, and especially in the last year, we've kind of expanded our scope and started talking about things in addition to science that are also important.
Yeah, I didn't actually know about that. It looks like I'm talking to the wrong motherfucker. I need to have your boy Callum on the show.
Well, I know Cal stepped down from the main hosting position that he held because he's going for his engineering degree, or he was, and so he was too busy to actually take on the hosting role, or the main hosting role. So I filled in that position. So now I've got all the responsibilities of being the main host and asking the first questions and closing out and all that good stuff.
Where the fuck is his priorities, man? Seriously. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, I want to go ahead and warn everybody now. I'm a little inebriated, so this may be a little looser than usual. I might get a little more animated than normal, but I just watched Rogue One and it was fucking exhilarating. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, I might talk about it in the pre-ramble. But, yeah, so you came on you're relatively new to the game. Has anything about the format changed? Well, before you came on, I guess. When you came on, I guess.
The format stayed pretty much the same. We stopped doing live shows because originally the podcast was a live show, and we went for like an hour and a half talking with our guests, and it was via video feed. And now we've moved to just audio only, and also it's all pre-recorded now, which makes it a lot easier on all of us. So that's really the only way in which the format has changed, just the technical details.
Okay. So, but you interview just a variety of people. Since I've been listening, a couple of more interesting ones. I think I don't know if it was the last one, but you talked to a guy from the Satanic Temple or whatever, and I thought that was hugely interesting.
Oh yeah, not the Satanic Temple. He was actually from the Church of Satan.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right. You're right.
But that was also before the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple got into a big Twitter battle.
You said
so.
Yeah, I heard about
and
that.
I'm not sure what. I don't really know if I don't have a stake in the game. I don't really care either way. But I guess they are having a big Twitter battle now. I guess tensions were high between them before, and then it blew up.
Oh my god, who gives a shit, really? I mean, I'm sorry. Was it you that kind of instigated, or was it somebody else?
It was somebody else.
Because somebody had said they started one, Yeah, I'm trying. Oh, it was fuck. Oh,
I know who it. I know
according
who it is. Is it
according
okay
to
Is
gospel.
it okay if I name him?
Yeah, because it's his fucking podcast. It's public. It's Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew Fasciani.
Yeah, Fat Johnny. Yeah.
He had Lucian Greaves on from the Satanic Temple, and I guess the Church of Satan, according to Matthew, got upset that they gave them a platform.
Well, he said something about it not being really a religion. I think is what he said. I think he said.
Oh, not the Satanic Temple not being a religion, or the Church of Satan not being a religion?
I think he said Satanic Temple wasn't really or something. I don't remember. Y'all can look at him. I might be post a link to the Twitter battle because it's just funny to me. But
yeah,
I don't remember exactly. But it's just funny that like, seriously. I mean, it's not any better. I mean, do they not see what? It's like the Protestants and the Catholics going. It's fucking hilarious to me, but sad at the same time. But then again, I mean, the same thing is going on, I guess, in the atheist/skeptical community. So I mean, that's human nature, I think. To be honest, with you. I don't think there's any group does that. It's kind of has schisms and shit because everybody's not going to agree on every fucking thing. We're not a hive mind, So unless you're a Republican, then you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a little bit off topic there. No, not really, because we were talking about you talked to that guy from the Church of Saint, and I thought that was really interesting. And there was a couple of things I was thinking about when I listened to that. You talked about the Satanic Panic a little bit, and I read a book by the same guy who did the Scientology one. The documentary is based on Going Clear. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great documentary.
Yeah, Lawrence Wright. He wrote a book about it was about a specific instance that happened in Washington, I think. And this girl claimed that she was raped, and these whole idea of getting people to confess to shit they didn't actually do, the repressed memories thing, which is a big controversy back then or whatever. They had him saying he fucked his daughter, that he fucking, had eating babies and all kinds of shit.
And that's not an isolated incident. I've actually studied the Satanic Panic in depth because I find it a pretty fascinating chronicle of how human nature and human reasoning goes wrong in all sorts of bizarre ways. It's kind of a case study in that way. It's kind of the modern version of the Salem witch trials because all sorts of terrible shit happened because of bad human reasoning. The McMartin preschool incident is a huge example of that, where therapists who went in for the whole repressed memory pseudoscience asked leading questions of preschool children and actually got them to come up with whole bizarre scenarios that obviously weren't true about how their teachers were Satan worshipers and made them do all sorts of horrible things and sexual molestation, and how they had like underneath the preschool building, they had a giant underground cavern where they kept like giant snakes and all sorts of stuff that was obviously untrue.
That's crazy.
But they led these children through leading questions and manipulation to come up with all these things that were just crazy and believe them. And some people are still in prison to this day based on what these children said.
Was that I think it was talked about in the Demon Haunted World, or it was something like that in the Carl Sagan book.
Yeah, I think he might have touched on it a little bit.
It was something like that. He talked about the Satanic Panic, and he was talking about repressed memories. I remember that, but I don't know if that was a specific case or it was something similar. But
if you want to read something hilarious from the whole Satanic Panic era, because some of it is tragic and sad, but some of it is just funny. There was a book by an evangelist named Phil Phillips, and you know that name?
No, I'm waiting.
So he wrote a whole series of books. His whole thing was attacking popular culture and calling it out as satanic. So he wrote a book called Turmoil in the Toy Box. And his whole thing was Care Bears is satanic, He-Man is satanic.
What?
And yeah,
I have a He-Man shirt on, man. I guess I'm satanic anyway.
Because I guess he said that he heard a schoolboy once say that He-Man is stronger than Jesus, and that triggered him. And and Darth Vader's helmet is supposed to represent some kind of Norse demon god, and so it's satanic. Everything's satanic. Everything's evil. And he wrote another book called Saturday Morning Mind Control.
That sounds like a great band name to me.
Yeah, and that book was all about how children's TV shows are evil.
Oh my God! Don't they have anything else better to do with their time? Seriously.
Well, back then they didn't. Nowadays it's not so prevalent.
Well, it's out there. You just have to look for it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what right wing watch is for. Those, they kind of dig out some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the more bizarre aspects of right wing evangelical insanity or whatever. So, also was it the episode before that you talked to the guy who was he a dentist? Was that right?
Yeah, Grant Ritchie Jr., a dentist who's also a big name in the skeptical movement because he fills a particular niche, which I find interesting because these skeptical-minded people are filling all these like small specialty niches and making sure that people aren't swayed by bullshit in areas that most people wouldn't expect to be misled, like in dentistry, because there's a whole alternative medicine movement specifically geared toward dentistry, like dental acupuncture and bullshit like that. And he's got expertise as a dentist, so he goes after those kinds of wrong ideas, which I find interesting, that these special niches can be filled by reason-oriented people.
Yeah, I just thought that was extremely interesting as well. I mean, obviously I haven't started listening because I just started listening fairly recently because I didn't know what the fuck it existed fairly recently. So, I'm trying to keep up with it. Of course, there was a guy on, I think it was the last episode, some guy who does a podcast that has like alliteration in it, and he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he was an interesting character.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if I'd word. I don't know. Interesting is a correct word, but I'll go with that. But no. I was on there and we talked about stuff. I don't even remember, honestly. Skepticism and atheism community stuff and
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's whatever. So, is there a specific thing that stands out to you, or a guest or a topic that stands out to you since you've been on there that you think is more interesting than anything else?
I was really impressed by one guest we had, Dr. John Wathy, who talked about his theory about religion having a possible biological basis in addition to a psychological basis, because obviously the psychology of religion is there, and that's not disputed, because things like religion have a strong effect and a strong hold on our emotions. But he's a computational biologist, computational evolutionary biologist.
Wait a minute. What the fuck is a computational evolutionary biologist?
So he, from what I gather, because I'm not an expert in that field, obviously, but he does computer algorithms that map out evolutionary pathways. And so it's like my friend Kitch, who's also an occasional co-host on the Trolling with Logic. He's a biotechnologist. He's got a PhD in biotechnology. He describes it as biomath. So mathematics applied to biology.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. I'd never heard of that, but so what did he talk about? I'm sorry, I kind of got bogged down in the weeds there, but
yeah. He talked about there being a biological basis of religious belief. So he thinks there's something in our biology, in our genetics, that predispose most of us to believe in a higher power.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that argument fairly recently.
Mm-hmm. He hypothesizes, because at this point his idea is a hypothesis, and he says as much and says he's still developing it, but and it needs a lot more evidence. But he thinks there is quite a bit of evidence already to show that the way the human mind is built, the way evolution built our minds, we're predisposed to, by evolution, to be attached to a mother figure from birth. So there's a neonatal model of the mother, he calls it. So built into us by our genetics at birth is this innate idea of a higher power, the mother figure, and that facilitates bonding between the infant and the mother. And that can carry over into adulthood because the wiring of the infant brain can retain part of itself into adulthood that remains dormant. And so we lose, as we grow into adults, we lose this aspect of our infant mind that is attached to a mother figure, but it's still there and it remains dormant. And so in times of high stress, danger, deep depression, things like that, it can be triggered again, and that can create the illusion that there's this spiritual presence in our lives. So when people say that they just feel this divine presence, that's the basis for it. The way he put it is a lot more eloquent than I'm putting it, though. So I'm just repeating what his theory is.
Yeah, like I said, I heard that theory, and it was fairly recently, and I read about it. And I thought it was an interesting theory. I don't know how accepted it is in the wider community or whatever, science in the field or whatever. That's something I would have to do some research on. But I have heard the theory presented. So I think there's definitely, the whole idea of humans always looking for something greater, always, looking to the stars and thinking if there is something else out there. I think that has a role to play. I don't necessarily know if it's a biological imperative or whatever. But then again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I will leave to the scientists. And, of course, everybody knows scientists are controlled by Satan.
Oh, yeah.
They're not to be trusted. So
they're controlled by the Illuminati and the New World Order as well.
Well, of course, yeah. You forgot the Bilderbergers.
Oh, yeah. And all scientists know evolution is bullshit. They're just hiding it and pretending like they believe in it to fool all of us into following Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
So I hear.
Yeah, it's so absurd, but what do you do, man? What is your day job? Do you have a day? Or if you're comfortable telling me. Or you said, I've heard you before say you were a journalist or something.
I have, I'm close to having a degree in journalism. I'm almost finished with my senior year, but I had to take some time off school. So I'm close to having a degree in journalism, but I'm not paid as a journalist. I don't have a career in it yet. It's just something I aspire to do, be a writer. But yeah, I do have a day job.
Oh, well, I didn't really mean the day job. I'm sure it's something that you don't, unless it's something interesting, like digging ditches or something.
It's just it's just a general labor manufacturing production job. Really boring.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about that.
Yeah,
that's why. To be fair, that's why I don't talk about mine, because who gives a fuck, really? Unless, like I said, unless it's like something glorious or exciting, like archaeologist or bounty hunter, or or whatever the fuck, But yeah, I actually started out going towards journalism in the beginning, and then I just kind of fell away. I wanted to be a writer, but I don't have the fucking discipline to do it.
I've become really disillusioned with journalism and the state it's in and what kind of opportunities are available. There's not a lot of room for independent thinking and thinking for yourself in the field anymore. You answer to institutions that really, a lot of them care mostly for the bottom line and giving people what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear. And so there's not a lot of opportunity to speak truth to power, which is the purpose that journalism is supposed to serve, and which initially drew me and appealed to me from an early age. Unless you get into like investigative journalism, and there's a few institutions like the Boston Globe or Columbia School of Journalism. There's a few prestigious places left, but a few reputable places left, but not many. So I went into journalism full speed ahead, and now being only a few classes right now from my degree, but not being in school currently, I'm actually questioning whether journalism is for me or whether I should go into a field where I can do journalism but not have to answer to some institution that really only cares about sensationalism.
Yeah, I see. I absolutely know where you're coming from in that aspect. I mean, especially in investigative journalism is dying a slow death, mostly because nobody wants to pay for their fucking news anymore. And that's how you fucking get these investigative journalists, especially like you said, the Boston Globe or like, you know, the major papers like New York Times, Washington Post. Print media is going, you know, out of business because, well, you have to pay for it. Most people want to get it for free. I mean, some put stuff behind the paywall, but that doesn't work for most people. And a lot, like you said, it's all become opinion news, basically. You know, there isn't any real, and there used to be a separation, like, you know, the major, like CBS or whatever used to have a news division and a business division, and never the twain shall meet. Basically, there was a solid wall there. Now it's like there's no wall there anymore. Basically,
and that actually has been going on for about 30 years now. Actually, it has been 30 years because back in 1987, there was the
Fairness Doctrine.
The Fairness Doctrine and the repeal of it by Reagan. And what that did was it opened the door for AM talk show personalities like Rush Limbaugh to not be held accountable for what they say. Whereas before, when the Fairness Doctrine was in effect, all news broadcasters and news commentators were required to state their opinions or present facts, whatever they were doing, in a way that was equitable and reputable. And if it was a controversial issue, they were required to cover the dispute responsibly and not give a sense of false balance. So when people talk about false balance today in journalism, which is a big problem, what they mean is, for example, giving equal time to a climate scientist and a climate denier and treating them as if their views were equal and had equal merit. Whereas before, balance in journalism used to mean just treating each differing opinion, if there was a conflict, treating the views with the respect each deserved. So balancing the scales. If one opinion or viewpoint had a lot of evidence to back it up, you afford more time to that and less time to ideas that had less evidence going for it. And that was what balance used to mean in journalism.
Yeah, this whole thing, and like you're saying, basically the death of the Fairness Doctrine and the rise of the right. That's when the right-wing radio started making a huge impact. Was when that was repealed. I mean, it just exploded out of the gate, basically, and it's really, and there hasn't been a left-wing equivalent. I mean, they tried was it Air America or whatever it was for a while. and that didn't work because I don't know. Not too many lefties listen to radio, and I'm not sure. We're not a hive mind, and we don't need to be told what to do. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it's just part of it is conservatives, for whatever sad reason that's unfortunate, they've always been better at communicating their ideas emotionally and connecting with people's emotions and charging them up, getting their reptilian brain all charged up and fired up and gung-ho, and just really appealing to their emotions. And liberals haven't really been all that great. They haven't figured out the technique as well as the conservatives have, because the conservatives are really read up on psychology. They've had lobbying groups who study marketing and how marketing appeals to people's emotions and psychology, and they've got all that shit figured out. And unfortunately, more reasonable people haven't really got on that bandwagon and figured out how to communicate as effectively.
Yeah, well, of course, Roger Ailes was in charge of. Nixon had him as like his. Basically, he convinced him to be, to be more savvy as far as media was or whatever. If you've ever read that Roger Ailes book, his unauthorized biography or whatever, loudest voice in the room, I think is the name of it.
Oh, that rings a bell, but I don't think I've read it.
Yeah, it's of course it's unauthorized, but which means to me it's better because any authorized biography is going to be a fucking a pan to his awesomeness. I'm sure which of course we all know it's bullshit. But yeah, he's a crafty guy, that Roger Ailes, and I think he's kind of Fox News has been kind of a bellwether, sort of a pre-runner to most of the stuff we're seeing now as far as opinion/news. I think that was kind of one of the first ones that really went out and did that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, up until that point, I don't think people were really paying attention to that. There really wasn't a right-wing propaganda network, to be honest with you. Either they try to stick to the news, which is what you're supposed to do, but apparently the news isn't exciting enough and doesn't get you enough ratings. So I guess he figured he'd try to get more ratings, whether the news was actually true or not. So
yeah, it's infotainment versus real news. Yeah.
Exactly. So oh well, that's the current state of journalism as told by two dudes. Basically two guys. I don't know. I don't have much experience with it except from what I've seen and what I've read, so, and it's kind of depressing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, internet was supposed to bring so much promise, which it does and it doesn't. I've read that basically these other people are not even news. They don't even report news. They aggregate other news. So they themselves aren't actually reporting any new news.
Oh, no. What they do is they copy and paste the press releases. So police stations, government officials, government bodies, city halls, that kind of thing, they'll send out press releases to the news organizations. And what the news writers will do most of the time nowadays is just copy and paste the press release as is. Whereas before, when journalism was a little bit better and more reputable, they would actually go more in depth, actually interview people, find out, kind of flesh out the details of what was being fed to them through the press releases. Nowadays, it's just copy paste, and then other news websites will take the copy and paste that, and so you're not really getting any kind of depth of information.
Yeah, and that's what, like I said, the kind of death of investigative journalism. It's really pretty depressing. It's still out there for the major organizations, but as far as just in general, I think it has gone away for the most part.
Yeah.
So how long have you been on the show again?
A little over a year.
a little over a year. And during that year, has things ticked up a little bit? And it's like, this fucking Nathan guy, I can't even deal with him. There's like, fuck him. I can't listen to this show anymore. It's intolerable. Or no.
Not that I know of. I haven't got any hate mail, so that's a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. You know what? You want some fucking hate mail. And I want some hate mail. Somebody send me some hate mail.
Oh, you haven't got any hate mail?
Fuck no. I want some misspelled words and some, some rants with capital letters and no punctuation, man. Come on. Fake it. If you have to fake it, send me some fake shit. I don't even care. Make me feel better.
You've got SJW in your podcast description, so I thought you would get plenty of hate mail.
I'm not big enough yet. I have to get bigger before I do that. I'll have to get on YouTube. I'm going to have to pick some fights and, stir shit for fans. I guess. So where do y'all see that? Do y'all have is there a goal? I mean, do y'all see the show like expanding further, or is there anything in the future that y'all are thinking about doing that you aren't doing right now?
We're trying to expand our audience. We're trying to get to the point where we can put out some merch and just improve the quality of the show as much as we can. We recently hired a pro editor, so it'll be sounding nicer from now on, without me editing all the shows.
I was gonna say it sounds like shit right now. So no, I'm just fucking with you.
So we're just trying to do what I think most other podcasters are doing, just expand our reach, because we think we have at least an okay message to get out there.
Yeah, what I like, I guess, the most is the people you've been getting on are fucking awesome, dude. I mean, it's kind of the same thing I do, sort of. I mean, but you get better guests, I think. Or y'all concentrate more, I guess, on the skepticism part, I suppose.
Yeah, and we're, like I said, we're wanting to kind of broaden the scope to cover issues that are becoming really pertinent to the skeptical community. Things like social justice.
Whoa, calm down now.
Yeah.
You're gonna get them fucking pissed. You're gonna piss off those fucking anti-SJW types, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. You sure you want to do that? Because they can get their feels hurt pretty easily.
Oh yeah. They can get they really need their safe spaces.
Exactly. Irony. Anyway.
Yeah. And things like we want to talk more, philosophy and ethical issues, that kind of thing. Because
I'm glad
we've been really heavy on the science and not so much on things that impact society in other ways, and things that are important for good thinking, like philosophical ideas. Because philosophy is the other thing I studied in college, which I have a pretty deep interest in, even though I don't talk about it much on social media, because I think it's a good gateway to good thinking.
Yeah, I have a problem with philosophy just because it makes my head hurt. I guess I just don't have the head for it. I don't know. It's difficult for me to wrap my mind around some of that stuff, I guess.
My view is that philosophy is, a lot of people misrepresent it and make it out to be something that only a few people can do. Like, they try to, it's like talk philosophically or write philosophically and using academic, high-sounding jargon. But it's actually just a method and an approach to thinking, like unpacking ideas and examining them, examining the constituent parts of an idea, taking it apart to see how well it holds up.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just like I said, I guess some of the terminology that's used a lot of times, sort of the jargon, always kind of throws me for a loop. I don't know, I guess I'm more of a concrete person, generally speaking, and that seems kind of abstract to me, and it's kind of hard for me to kind of really dig into it. Maybe I just need somebody to really teach me how to really look at it, I think, is probably what I need.
Yeah, it can be abstract, but I don't think it has to be. I think common sense is part of philosophy, and observational evidence is part of philosophy, because if you just stay within the realm of thought and detach yourself completely from observing the natural world, that doesn't do you any good. You get nowhere just by pure thought alone.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there has to be a balance trick there, which a lot of people don't always do, and I myself don't always do, which I should do more of. Actually, I think it's really important to fucking concentrate on those two sides of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So y'all are trying to expand your reach. Now I've heard you have a Callum. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Callum, but there's another guest co-host you have on there as well, and I don't really know her name.
Jenna Bowyer.
And she's from New Zealand or something, Australia?
She's from Manchester, England.
And I'm an idiot. Okay. Apparently my accent detector is broken. For some reason, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, she's been on there a couple times. Unfortunately, she wasn't on there when I was there because I wanted.
Yeah, she actually fell asleep before the show went on. She was planning on being with us, but when you were on, but she fell asleep.
I thought she was just intimidated by me. I mean,
no.
Because the women they're scared of me because I'm ugly and it scares people, to be honest with you. But anyway, it's frightening. I understand. But I've heard, I like to have different perspectives on things, and I definitely think, I don't want to make it sound like she's a token or anything, but I do like to hear female perspectives on certain issues, I think. And well, just in general, I think different perspectives, like Callum's from Ireland, and I think that's an interesting perspective.
That's Kitch.
Kitch, God bless America.
Yeah, he's from Ireland.
Kitch
and he was on our show with us.
All right.
Few. And then Callum is from Scotland.
Oh, God. Okay, Scotland and Ireland are well represented. Like, fucking UK is fucking well represented, apparently. England, Scotland, and Ireland was shit. Well, Ireland technically is not part of the UK, I guess, but... yeah, that whole region, and then there's you. So, but do y'all get together? Is it a rarity for everybody to be on the same episode, or is it that just kind of an anomaly when not everybody's on there?
Lately, the past several episodes, we haven't been able usually to get all together, and that's a good thing about having the four of us. And actually, we've got two other people on the show who come on occasionally. Marty from Sweden, and he's got a great YouTube channel, Martimer81. He actually is a veteran of the show. He was on the show from the time it started, and but he's stepped back quite a bit, even though he's trying to get more involved. And then we've got another guy, Alex Lundberg, who has a YouTube channel, and he focuses on philosophy and social justice on his YouTube channel. He's from America, and the only other American besides me. Those two guys they've taken a step back from the big role they used to play on the show, but they come on occasionally now and again. So we've got kind of a crowd, and we kind of rotate through, so when some people aren't available, they'll fill in, and that kind of helps because we've got people from all over the world: Sweden, Ireland, Manchester, Scotland. But yeah, for the most part, most of us are able to get on. We usually just set aside a time every Sunday when we can all be on at the same time, even though we haven't been able to do that as much lately because, like, for example, Kitch is in Singapore and traveling around a lot. So, but we've got a pretty good group of people who are able to fill in when others aren't available.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of, like, people filling in when other people can't, kind of make it or whatever. So you always kind of have a different perspective, different constitution of the different hosts or whatever. I find that interesting, actually.
Yeah, and we find the international representation valuable as well. So it's not just an American perspective, or it's not just a UK perspective. We get that nice mix, and we also have a wide range of backgrounds and interests. So Cal is studying mechanical engineering, going into rocket science, and
Jen is into microbiology. Kitch, as I said, is a biotechnologist. Marty is a teacher in Sweden. He teaches high school physics and math. And Alex is he studied ethics and philosophy. So we've got quite a range of interests and backgrounds going on there.
It sounds like it, and like I said, I think that's a valuable asset to have for any show, is to have a, because one person, unless you're a polymath, how clever, which obviously I'm not, because that was tongue-in-cheek, but unless you're somebody who's like just got different, shit from just all kinds of knowledge or something, you're going to need different people with different backgrounds to kind of bring that different perspective on things, I think. I mean, now sometimes it can get a little bit crowded and something, but I think y'all don't really, it doesn't sound like y'all step on each other's toes too much. Y'all seem like you're able to kind of, bring your own voices without kind of having a cacophony going on or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've managed that pretty well. It can be a challenge. There are definitely pros to doing the kind of thing you're doing. It's a lot more manageable, what you're doing. Just yourself and a guest. And obviously you have a lot of great guests on. And I think you're making a name for yourself in the community, and which I think is great. There are good things and bad things to be said about, well, not bad things, but there are challenges when there's a whole panel of people doing the same podcast, and so I think there's some value in having a fairly wide range of voices, but also value in being a lone star and
lone star. Sorry, I was thinking of Texas when you said that.
I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I think you're unique in that you're one of the few podcasters who do it by yourself. Not very many people do that.
There's a couple I can think of, but generally, yeah. I had a podcast before this that was 2 people, but I decided to go solo. But anyway, we're not talking about me. It's my show. We're talking about you. That's what we're talking about right now. The Nathan Dickey, who himself has been seeming to kind of make a name for himself. I've seen you kind of, weasel your way into various groups or whatever. So, you're not doing too bad for yourself, I don't think.
Yeah, weasel my way in. It's probably
I'm just
that was probably a correct way of putting it.
No, but I think you have some interesting. I won't say interesting. That sounds condescending. You have some unique perspectives to bring to subjects, and what I think is lacking in a lot of discourse, not just our community, but that's rife in any community, but especially, it's almost like, in the skeptic community, you're automatically assumed to be skeptical.
Oh yeah,
but you're not necessarily. You're not. Just because you say you're skeptical doesn't necessarily mean you're actually skeptical.
Just look at the so-called YouTube skeptics. They're
oh god,
they can be a really terrible bunch. They love to harp on about how skeptical they are, but a lot of them, I'm not naming names at all. I'm not even going to go there, but a lot of them like to talk about how skeptical they are without backing up that claim and showing how and why they're skeptical.
Yeah, I have an issue with that. And I think it's important that we question everything. Sit there and question everything all the time, I guess, but just kind of be in the back of your mind that maybe you say some shit that's wrong, and be willing to kind of look at what if somebody brings it up, and be willing to kind of look at it and say, maybe I was incorrect in that statement, or maybe I could, not said it that particular way, or maybe there's some information missing or something, and that seems to be something that some names in the community, some big names, seem to have a problem with, unless it's something they already are saying and they hear a dissenting voice. They seem not to like it too much and get offended. So,
I think there's in some circles there's an ego problem, and
in some circles, there's more of a focus on the cult of personality rather than what really matters, which is discussing and challenging ideas and being able to disagree in a constructive manner.
Yeah, that's a challenge, I think, for most people, because I think people get, I mean, and I'm not saying getting your feelings hurt. I mean, that's just, people automatically will get defensive, and that's just most of the, I mean, it's something you have to overcome. People automatically get defensive if you challenge them on something. It seems, and that's not, saying any, a bad thing for anybody. It's just human nature, like I said, to get defensive. I get defensive on shit, but then I kind of have to stop myself from automatically having a reactionary thing and just sit there and before I get mad, I'm like, okay, why am I getting defensive? And is this something that is actually a legitimate, gripe or counter argument? And is it something that I need to look at further, or is it complete bullshit?
Yeah, I completely agree, and I obviously struggle with that too, like everyone else, and it's just part of realizing that part of being a skeptic is being skeptical of your own position as well as being skeptical of what you view as obvious bullshit. So sometimes we gotta step away from the climate deniers and the creationists and the anti-GMOers and take a look at ourselves and be a little bit introspective and make sure that we're on the right track and accept input from other people.
Yeah, I think introspection, and again, this is just our group. It seems to be a problem in most groups. Introspection seems to be something that's sorely lacking. And again, I don't know that it's necessarily one group or another. I think it's just generally speaking. People don't like to look in at themselves because I guess they're afraid of what they'll find, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but again, that's along with critical thinking is something that should be taught in schools as a required subject. But, don't get me started on the education system in this country.
Oh, yeah, I could go on about that, too.
So, where did the name Trolling with Logic, was that something that was already pre-existing from the beginning?
That's the name they, Cal and the original group who created the show came up for it because they had some dissenters say that, oh, you're just trolling us. We disagree with you, but we're not going to provide any constructive criticism. We're just going to call you trolls. And so, according to Cal, because I wasn't a part of it at this time, they said, yeah, okay, we'll run with that and adopt that. And we'll say, yeah, we're trolling, but we're trolling with logic. So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek terminology, kind of saying, tongue-in-cheek mostly. It's a humorous way of saying, yeah, you can call us trolls, but at least we're doing it logically.
Yeah,
I know that's the explanation I think Cal gave. He gave a better rundown of where the title came from, than I could. But
well, I would like Trolling with Logic, motherfucker. I think that would give a little edge to it. Yeah, we're trolling with logic, motherfucker. Now what? Okay, that's too much. I guess that wouldn't. TWLMF. I don't know.
Yeah, then we wouldn't be able to get any guests on with a title like that.
I mean, yeah. Well, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices. Actually, if you try to use curse words in iTunes, it automatically censors it out.
And also YouTube as well. They'll demonetize your video if it has cuss words in the title.
That is so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't demonetize you for having hateful, horrible ideas, apparently, but they'll demonetize you for a fucking curse word. Okay. The amazing asshole can make all the money he wants off the toxic bullshit he spews from his fucking pie hole. Or whatever. But we can't have a goddamn curse word in the service of social justice or something, because I'm a little pissed off because minorities are getting screwed once again. So, But what do I know? Cat, get off of there. Anyway, Sorry, I was a little got a little off track there. So, do you have any side projects besides Trolling with Logic?
Well, I'm working on a book that I've actually got three or four, maybe 5 book projects lined up. Obviously, it's going to be years and years before I get any of them published, if any of them are published. But I've got the main book I'm working on now that I got a book offer from an independent publisher about the New Age movement and how it's misusing and abusing scientific terminology and scientific language to further its agenda.
Oh, no, you don't say. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's really the only major side project I've got going on. It's going to be a really short book, 100 pages or less, but not too bad for a first book. I always expected the first book I ever wrote to be self-published, but it looks like I got an offer, and so it looks like the other books I want to write will be self-published. So, funnily enough, the books I want to write after this one I'm working on now will be self-published, most likely.
Yeah, well, it's easier to do that nowadays, though. I mean, it used to be you couldn't really do that, but now with the internet, you can do it more. And plus, you could put out, ebooks and shit. So
yeah, Amazon self-publishing is really easy.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome. I don't think it's awesome that they fucking make you charge you out the ass to do it and fucking take a huge. I'm sure they take a huge fucking percentage to do it. So I don't like that idea. But
yeah,
I guess you pay to play, and when you're paying a huge corporation, which obviously needs more money because they're already not making a shit ton of money already.
Right.
So sorry, but a little bit sarcasm there. Yeah. So I didn't know about the book thing, and I think that's fucking awesome. I mean, especially when it comes to what you're talking about. I don't think you can write too many books about bullshit like that. I mean, because people are really harmed by this sort of thing. I mean, especially when it's shit like I was listening to Skeptic's Guide, and it's just some of the shit they market. It was this. It's just bullshit from like. One of them was a prostate. You can take something for your prostate. And of course, it's complete bullshit. It's like some kind of placebo bullshit, basically. But people are not getting fucking treatment for stuff because they think this bullshit actually works. And that's
the whole alternative medicine movement is hijacking people's ability to get the help they need.
And you're killing people when you do shit, as far as I'm concerned. You got blood in your hands.
Absolutely.
That's just what I think. I mean, you got blood in your hands when people are dying, because of, people talk about religion. Yeah, you got, of course, Christian scientists who don't believe in modern medicine. Who I think, like I just said, these people who are trying to make a buck off people with these supplements or homeopathy, they're even worse as far as I'm concerned. I mean...
Yeah, because they're trying to not just tap into people's spiritual beliefs. They're trying to break down the whole wall and try to appeal to people's spiritual leanings and also their reason processes. So they're trying to appeal to them scientifically, even though it's pseudoscience. And so in that sense, the fact that they're manipulating people's religious beliefs about how the body works and also trying to appeal to people's reason and say, oh, this is real medicine. That's an even stronger pull than just simply trying to use religion like faith healing. Yeah. Because at least with faith healing, people still can, people are a little bit better able to withstand that propaganda because it's based purely on religion and spiritual ideas about how God heals people. But with alternative medicine, they tap into both. They actually try to peddle false cures as real medicine. And so they kind of hijack they abuse people's trust in doctors. is what they do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what frightens me the most about it, because they try to give it an air of legitimacy, and they feed upon people's fears of, especially big pharma and shit. You know, they try to feed in people's fears about that shit. And I think also the idea, I mean, this whole fucking movement against experts, or
Oh yeah.
this anti-intellectual shit, has really just gotten out of hand. And it's been, I mean, it's always been, you're always going to find it anyway. But it seems like it's gotten worse.
It's been they've emboldened it, or they've what's the word I'm looking for? They've enabled it, to a greater degree than even 4 years ago.
Yeah, Trump. I mean, I think Trump has made it even fucking worse.
Yeah, I think Trump is a big part of it, where people, and this is goes deeper than just the political divide and who's in office at what time, but it definitely has an effect, the kind of person you have in office, because before Trump, prior to, say, 2015 or thereabouts, people who were anti-intellectual and reacted negatively to expert opinion, at least they weren't comfortable being open about it. Now people are actually proud of being anti-intellectual.
Yeah, and that, oh God, that makes me so mad. And of course, that's not something that is a new phenomenon. I've witnessed that before, but now it just seems to be more widespread, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, like you said, it's been legitimized by some of this kind of shit coming out of, you know, basically the climate deniers. I don't understand. Well, I do understand some of it. People don't want to believe something that was going to adversely affect their way of life. If we have to fucking actually do something that we don't want to do, that will inconvenience us, we don't want to fucking hear it. You know,
yeah, psychologists have actually studied that phenomenon, and they've it's called solution aversion. So when people hear a solution to a problem that they don't like, they might, prior to hearing the solution, they might not have a problem with, or they might not have a dispute with what's going on. But as soon as they hear a solution that they don't like, then they'll backtrack and they'll start to attack the existence of the problem itself rather than face the solution.
How are we? I don't know. If we survive another 100 years as a species, I'll be fucking amazed, to be honest with you. I just, you know, it's this convergence of our technology and our foolishness, honestly, our lack of being able to handle that technology. That's going to fucking be the death of us, I think.
Yeah, we're reaching a critical point in our development as a species and in our development as in our technological development, where we've got to get our shit together and be careful about who has access to the button, because shit's going to get real pretty quick.
Well, there's a theory, and I don't remember what it's called. There's a name for it, but like basically the idea is the reason we haven't met any species other than ourselves is because they've ended up killing themselves in our pretty much in the space of time that we're in right now in development. You know?
So any intelligent alien civilization out in the galaxy, maybe it's inevitable or maybe not inevitable, but overwhelmingly likely that any technologically advanced race will end up destroying itself. Maybe no intelligent species is capable of surviving itself. It could be. I'd like to think more optimistically and think that we can outgrow the childhood of our species, because that's pretty much what we're in. I mean, modern humans, we've only been around for what, 200,000 years, 150,000 years.
Yeah, it hasn't been long.
Yeah, and so I can't remember where I heard this. I remember some anthropologists talking at my university about back when I was in school about if you were to model that on a human lifetime.
Oh yeah.
The human species now would be
the last day, December 31st. Like,
oh no, that's Carl Sagan's calendar for geologic time. But if we were to if we were to model the human species based on a single human lifetime, based on how long we've been around relative to geological time, their estimate is that the human species would be comparable to a 5-year-old now.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So if we can outgrow this childhood of the human species, then maybe we'll have a chance, but we might just be too much like the child who runs out into the middle of the road and gets hit. We might not be able to survive ourselves.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know. If we survive, I mean, of course there's science fiction, and every science fiction fucking thing you've ever read, most of us have ever read who are into sci-fi. There's been some great fucking catastrophe that happened sometime around this time, and that we survived or whatever, some great holocaust that humankind has survived. But we've always survived, and even dystopian novels, there have been survival. I mean, whether it's preferable or not is a different story. But
right,
there's just always this assumption. I guess it wouldn't make a good novel, though. Okay, we're all dead at the end. I mean,
Yeah, unless Lars von Trier, the filmmaker. Have you seen Melancholia?
Do I want to? He's pretty bizarre.
I think it's a good film.
I'll check it out. The only one I saw by him was Dancer in the Dark, I think, was the only one I saw. No, there was another one I saw, too, and I can't remember the name of it. But it was
Antichrist is a good one.
Antichrist.
It's got a talking fox.
Literally, what does the fox say?
Yeah, it's about a couple who has they go out on a retreat into their forest cabin because their child dies, and they're in mourning, and they want to their marriage is falling apart because their child died, and so they're trying to fix their marriage by going out together to this remote cabin in the woods. And a lot of psychological shit happens, as in most of his films, and there's a talking fox at one point.
Maybe I've seen that, because there was another one I saw, and I was gonna say, it's the one that's weird. Oh wait, that's all of them, so it doesn't really narrow it down. Maybe it was. It's a long time ago. I got in a little avant-garde phase, trying to watch all the avant-garde shit, which I guess I'm not cool enough to get a lot of times, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah,
the fox comes out of the bushes and says, "Chaos reigns."
Oh goddamn! See what kind of fucking okay? I don't even have anything for that right now. I can't do it. Not right now. My brain's not working properly. Anyway.
You don't want to watch that movie while high, that's for sure.
Oh, Jesus. Well, some people might want to be, I don't know, it's hard. Some people get off on that kind of shit, but
yeah.
Maybe I'll check. I might watch it again just to see if I remember seeing it, because I think I saw it. Anyway. So, Nathan, where can everybody find your y'all show? I guess it's not your show, but y'all show.
Well, we're on trollingwithlogic.com, which is the main website. We're on Twitter, which is at trollingwlogic. And you can find us on Facebook just by searching Trolling with Logic. And you can find me, Nathan Dickey, just by searching my name on Facebook. And you can find me on Twitter at The Natheist. It's just atheist with an N at the beginning.
Oh, check out the Big Clever. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, and contrary to what his name says, Nathan is not Dicky at all. He's very nice.
Yeah.
Or that'd be dickish, I guess. Yeah.
I've tried to live up to my name and failed, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I would say so. All right, Nathan. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, love being on. Thanks for the invite.
And thank you for patronizing me. Wait, that's not the right word. I mean, I guess back in literally that's what it means, but it's come to become a More of a derogatory meaning nowadays, but you get understand.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, all right, Nathan. Well, take care of yourself, okay?
Yep, you too.
That'll do it for this episode of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. Thanks to Nathan Dickey for coming on and talking to me. We had a great time, and he is an awesome dude. And, of course, again, I want to tell you that Secular Saturday was fucking awesome, and that you definitely need to check it out if you can next year. Of course, the website for the show is thepodunkpolymath.com. Music's by ... And you can find their music at cdbaby.com/cd/... You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Google+. Under the Podunk Polymath. You can email the show at podunk.polymath@gmail.com. Did I mention I was on Twitter at Podunk Polymath? Well, I'm doing it again. Patreon.com. If you want to join the posse, patreon.com/the Podunk Polymath. Call-in phone number is 615-378-POPO, 7676. You can join the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/the Podunk Polymath podcast Posse. Did you get that? There's an online store at zazzle.com/Podunk Polymath, Podunk_Polymath. My apologies. Again, I want to reiterate that shit was fucking awesome. I also want to mention that the Krails, Anakin and Jenica put together. Jenica and Patrick have started a new podcast. I don't know if I have mentioned it previously, but it's Real Life After Faith. I believe I got that right. Let me make sure. Real Life Beyond Faith, I think it is. Yeah, Real Life Beyond Faith. And you need to go check them out. They just started a Twitter at RLBF Pod. Go check them out. And they already have a Facebook page. Go look that up. I don't remember. It's Real Life Beyond Faith on Facebook. So the release is imminent. I don't know exactly when yet, but I'm super excited that they're doing this finally. And I thoroughly encourage you to go listen when it does come out. And of course, I will tell y'all when it does. So stay tuned. Thanks, y'all, for listening. Again, sorry for it being late. I hope you'll forgive me. Until next time, y'all take it easy now, okay?